from family vacation, and it was difficult. I normally will actually walk away kind of feeling depleted. This time around, I'm feeling good. And I want to tell you why. It's because we had some really difficult conversations. And just before I get into this, we are having our online community Zoom support meeting tomorrow, Sunday at 11 a.m. So hope to see you there. And now let's just dive in. What happened and what did I learn over this trip? What was challenging? I'm just going to try to recap it in a quick nutshell. I'd say the most challenging part for me personally was that someone was distant. They weren't arguing, they weren't yelling or saying rude things. They just weren't really saying anything at all. And for me personally, I think if you're just watching this, it's important that you know that this can be a trigger of mine when people are not, or when they're distant and not engaged. Because long story short, I mean, this is me giving you my family dynamics, airing out the laundry or whatnot. But I think as a kid, I've learned that I must have had distant parents. And kids, you know, if their parents don't focus on them, there's these videos where babies, the mother looks away, or the mother has a blank face, and the baby's and you know, you might not think that just looking away or not paying attention to a child would really cause the child to be in distress, but it really does. So if children don't get emotional engagement from their caregivers, it's very painful. And so that happened to me a lot. And so even to this day, there's a slight wound. There's a wound. It's healed. I've learned to feel into that. I've learned to catch it. I've learned to not necessarily react to it or believe it. But this thing is still there, right? This inner child wound, if you will. We all still have them. We all still have them. They don't really ever go away, but we learn to relate to them differently. Instead of someone being disconnected and me feeling this pressure to go to food, or this pressure to smoke weed, or this need to escape my body. At first, it was just like, wow. I just was sitting with this, their distance just made me so uncomfortable. Just so uncomfortable in my body. It was distressing to me. There was tension. This is all in my body. And, you know, I remember one time trying to talk with them, and they kind of got up and left. And I just like this, you know, when you want to be close to someone, and they're a family member and they're close, and then they just don't want to be next to you, it hurts. And kind of a breakthrough happened for me, actually, was when I allowed myself to grieve that pain. And this is something that I think you can take away as well. Maybe your thing is not necessarily distance, but whatever, a disruptive family, an annoying family member, an abusive family member. And being around them just really drives you nuts, really just irks you. And what helped for me was, first of all, I did call my therapist. I mean, I'm doing my own work here too. I think working with a therapist is amazing. Just having someone to talk to so that you can express your emotions and be heard. So I explained the situation, and we kind of realized, like, I need to grieve. I need to let myself feel this pain. I need to let myself kind of grieve. Like, wow, this really sucks. I need to let myself kind of, I didn't cry, but I need to let myself internally cry. I needed to let myself say, this really sucks. It's really shitty that this is this way, and it's not your fault. I needed to grieve and to give myself compassion. I need to say, wow, this sucks, man. Like, feel that sadness. This sucks. I do not like this. And then to offer myself these kind words. It's not your fault. You didn't make this person that way. You know, it's not your fault. Like in, you know, as corny as it sounds, the movie that is springing into my mind is the Robin Williams and Matt Damon movie, Good Will Hunting, where he brings in Matt Damon and he's saying, Matt Damon's crying on his shoulder, and Robin Williams is saying, "It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault." And you know, it might sound superficial, but that's kind of what I was doing to myself internally. I felt this pain inside. I allowed myself to not just feel the hurt, right? Just feel the hurt. And to grieve over that, to say, wow, you know, inner child, that really sucks that you're in so much pain right now. Ow, you know? And when you grieve, then it creates space. It's when we don't want to grieve. It's when we either disconnect from the grieving or get overwhelmed by the grieving and keep it going and going. But if we can just be there, if we can just let it internal, like, that really sucks. That sucks. And then if we can say to ourselves, give that kind words, right? Feel that inner child and say, it's not your fault, you know, it's okay. It's not your fault, this is tough. It'll create space for you to create new actions. It'll create space for you to be courageous. Because that's the first step, right? What holds you back from being more courageous, right? What holds you back from doing something that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable? And so after this kind of grieving and compassionate process, this person is outside, and long story short, I'm feeling very terrified. But I go out and talk to them and say, hey, I am noticing that it seems like you're being distant and not involved. And that started a conversation. And that conversation went really well. It went okay. It went well. We had a conversation. So in that sense, it was really good. And for me afterwards, I felt so relieved. I felt like a big weight had lifted off my shoulders. I felt like a lot of tension internally had just been resolved. And so, yeah, that's kind of like what was my process this week. And that is my story. And like, I think this process of catching your emotions, right? Writing it down. I've had some practice, so I don't journal. I did not journal, but I highly suggest you journal if you're not so good at catching your body awareness. And then to offer yourself that compassion, right? We absolutely need this awareness of how we feel inside, and then to kind of go into the pain. We need to go into the pain. This is what this process teaches us, to go into pain, right? Because I think we all carry pain in here, right? We carry pain, and it's okay. And learning how to contact that pain without it overwhelming you, without it just leaning into the pain, letting it be there, kind of grieving, creating space around that pain, offering these words of affirmation to your inner child, so that in compassion, this can help you shift in a dramatic way. It can really help free up this emotional energy that can get caught, that can get stuck, and ultimately help you change your behaviors. The same process. I mean, you look on the website, right? Go to the What Others Say page, and people are saying this process works. They're saying, when I catch my emotions, when I put them down on paper, when I see them, it disrupts the cycle. And then when I can dialogue and connect with my inner child, when there can be a back and forth with this inner world, a conversation, it shifts everything. People are saying, like, they're freeing themselves from all these different food struggles that they've struggled with for so long. And so this process really does work. It is an amazing, amazing process. I'm so happy to teach this stuff. I think it's just the most foundational stuff out there. Like, I love it. You know, yeah, this writing, processing, and then feeling into the inner child, talking to the inner child, that compassion, it just frees up so much. And so you can do it with food, you can do it with relationships, and it works. It really does. It's not like it's easy, and you still have to take courageous action. And I'm very fortunate that this person was able to dance with me, actually. After I kind of broke the ice, we were able to dance a bit. We were able to get a little connection. And it takes two people to tango, right? So I'm not saying that this can just magically solve all your relationships, but certainly with food, it can. And so, yeah, this video, I think I've said my piece. Thank you for listening. I'm looking forward to the meeting tomorrow. And we'll just call it at that. Namaste.